Hey guys, welcome to Dear HRT. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Suji.
And today we are going to be talking about consent. So, our first question, does consent only apply to sex?
Absolutely not. Consent is a huge factor in sex. It needs to be there. You need to know whether you have consent, where you and your partner, are mentally, physically, where you guys are, and if you are ready. Consent applies in all of these factors, and it needs to be there.
Next question, is sex always non-consensual when people have been drinking?
So this might be one of the hardest questions for us to answer, and we are not going to give you a direct answer. We are just here to inform you and, get as much information as we can. So this is a really, really hard question to answer because everyone has such different opinions. It's very controversial because of maybe experience they have had, experiences their friends, people they know have had, and it's better not to drink when you're planning to have sexual activity.
Yep.
Right, next question. How do I talk about consent without making it awkward?
This is a great question. If it's awkward to talk about consent, then you aren't ready to consent. Consent is communication. It's your wants, it's your needs, it's your boundaries. It's not awkward. If anything, it's necessary.
Absolutely. There are a few questions you can ask that might make it clearer because this conversation needs to happen, such as, can I touch you? How does this feel? Is it okay to do this? Do you want me to keep going? You should always know where your partner is at during sexual activity. You should always know where they are mentally, physically, and if they are still consenting. You can always unconsent. At any point in the process, you can always take a step back and you can say, hey, is this really what I want to do? Is this the right choice? Am I ready for this?
Which brings us to our next question. What are some signs you may no longer have consent?
So there are a few very obvious signs, such as freezing up, crying, or mood changes. You always need to know where your partner is. You shouldn't just get your consent and then just dive in. You need to be aware.
Last question. If you're in a healthy relationship, is consent inferred? And I'm just going to go right ahead and say absolutely not. A relationship is a connection with someone, which doesn't mean that you owe them anything at any given time. Healthy relationships are based on consent and vice versa. Don't be afraid to say no. If your partner makes you feel guilty, judged, or punishes you for saying no, you should reevaluate your relationship.
Of course, and you have to remember, pleasing others is abandoning yourself. If at any step you feel uncomfortable, you don't feel right, you need to remember you can always take a step back. There is, in a healthy relationship, consent is needed.
Also, you're right about taking a step back. Consent is a repetitive action. It's not a one and done. It can and probably will change over time. Just because you have consent this time does not mean you have consent for next time. What we want to leave you with today is that consent is clear, voluntary, and enthusiastic.
Exactly.
Stay safe. Thank you.